why is it that we as Black folks don't want to accept nepotism? And I understand that, and I'm asking you because, like you said, you wanted to earn it. If you know what you knew now, and let's just say it was the other way around where your brother did get that opportunity, knowing what you know now, would you have accepted it?
Easily. Easily. Like if knowing what I know now, I would have had a couple years in the NBA.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I would have worked it.
We all know 2020 was a challenging year. It was so challenging. That's the reason why I needed a break from doing this podcast. So welcome to the official opening of season 3. For everybody out there, I appreciate you tuning in. There was some positives in 2020. One was something happened that if you would have told me this 10 years ago, no way I would have believed you. And that is, I was able to connect with one of my favorite NBA players' siblings. In fact, he's become a good friend of mine. And that is my guest on today's show, the one and only Daniel Artest, ladies and gentlemen. Daniel, like his brother, Ron, former NBA champion and former Defensive Player of the Year, is a basketball player. But for Daniel, his basketball career went in a different direction. He also played overseas, and now he's podcasting on his own podcasting network, his own media company, 265 Media. So today's show, we get a chance to talk about that. And yeah, we do talk about the fact that he is Ron's brother. And one of the things that you'll listen to, you'll hear him open up about some of the things he's dealt with in life and how podcasting has been therapy. And he also talks about Malice in the Palace, that infamous night when Ron's Indiana Pacers got into it with the Detroit Pistons. We finally get to hear a sibling perspective. So, ladies and gentlemen, tune in, get ready. Here's my conversation with Daniel Artest. All right, ladies and gentlemen, on the line today as we kick off season 3 of Mine. We just met a few months ago via these social media waves during the unfortunate pandemic that we're in right now. But he does the Daniel Artest Podcast. He is the CEO of 265 Media, and I'm excited to have him on the show today. I've been on his show quite a few times, especially during the NBA playoffs and the NBA finals, and even at night when my Lakers won the championship, I was able to celebrate with this brother, and that's the one and only, the good brother himself, Daniel Artest. What's up, bro?
Hey man, what's going on? Thank you for having me. And don't forget, you was on during election time too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. How you feeling, man?
Man, despite the circumstances, I'm doing well. This pandemic has paused a lot of things for me personally, but I'm just podcasting and just keeping my mind on the things that matters to me, man. Just staying out the way, man.
Yeah, I hear that. People, obviously, if they didn't do their research before watching the show, or they didn't read the description, they may not know. So we can, yes, he is true. He is the brother of world champion, Metta World Peace, Metta Artest. Your brother changed his name. To me, he's one of my top 10 favorite players of all time, Ron Artest. What's his name now? I know you say you still call him Ron.
I still call him Ron, but his name is Metta Standiford-Artest. And actually, Ron is, as is considered today, a 2-time NBA champion. Lakers gave him a ring.
That's awesome.
So it counts. He said it counts.
Hey, yeah, absolutely. How did that happen? Before we, because you just I'm curious.
They called him and said, "Hey, man, we got a ring for you."
Oh,
and so that was really he was actually pretty shocked and stuff. So he told me this about 3 weeks ago, and he got the same exact ring. He just posted it on social media. So just go check that out. And I asked him, I was like, "Are you going to count it towards the collection?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, you're a 2-time champion now with a Defensive Player of the Year award. You got to get some consideration for the Hall of Fame now, brother."
You cannot tell the history of the game without him. But basketball is the reason that we know him. And you were a basketball player. I remember reading the article, and a huge shout out to your brother, because I could tell the bond, because there's so many quotes out there with him talking about how you was just as good as him. And then I think I even read one, he might say even better. When did you start picking up the ball? Was it watching him or other people in the neighborhood growing up? Because you grew up in New York. When did you turn to the love of basketball?
It wasn't like watching him play and stuff, because he's 3 years older than me, so he was outside before I was. But I started playing basketball because I like Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem Olajuwon had this VHS tape, and this was before he won the championship. And I used to just watch the tape out all the time, repeatedly, and then I go outside and practice on a jungle gym. That's how I learned how to play basketball. I learned how to play basketball on a jungle gym and on a trash can, So I'm doing his moves, his up and unders, his fadeaway jump shots and everything like that. And my love for the game just started growing from there. Then when I transferred onto a basketball court, it just took over my life.
Yeah. And so when did you played in high school a little bit, right?
I never played in high school.
Okay, you didn't go, all right. I know you played in college.
Yes.
What was that like? I know you said that, you was very honest about your behavior kind of dictated where you went to school. But what was the college game like for you?
The college game was fun, just like not having the experience of playing high school basketball. So when I went in there with, like, I'm not going to say deer in the headlights, in a bad way. Like, for most people, I was just like more like deer in the headlights. Like, I didn't know what to expect, and I realized, like, I was pretty good. After my first game, I had 22 points and 9 rebounds in my first college game, my first organized game, pretty much. And it was just like I just rode that wave the entire season. It was fun.
Yeah. Now, what was it? You're if anybody follows you on social media, they know that's your MO, is you love the rebounding, and playing that defense and being that, a shorter but toughest, probably one of the toughest forwards out there for your height. How are you able to do that?
Watching those Hakeem Olajuwon things, man, and then working on my footwork. So no matter what size I was, whether I'm a 6'3" power forward center, I always had amazing footwork and foot speed, and athletic ability as well. So and real strong. So once I seal you, there's no way you can just out jump me or out strength me and box me out. It was from the beginning of time, since I started playing basketball, it's always been like that. So, and also knowing that, basketball, is a game is an IQ game basically, so I know that 80% of the rebounds always are below the rim. So I'm below the rim. All I got to do is just get position, and I was good. So that's how I was able to be successful at the game at my height.
Okay. Now, you had a couple NBA trials too, right?
Yes, I had one with the Lakers in 2009, and I had one with the Sacramento Kings in 2007.
Okay. Now, can you talk about those experiences?
Yeah, so the Sacramento experience was cool. I think that it could have been a little bit better if the coaches was more on board of having a brother of an NBA player on there. Like, they kind of felt like I was taking a roster spot from a certain agent's player, and I personally thought, like, hey, I was in the gym at 5:30 in the morning to 11:30 in the morning working out on my game, so I kind of felt like I earned the spot. And before, it was funny because before I actually took the spot, I asked Ron, I was like, hey man, like, did you do this for me? Because if you did, I don't want to take it. You know what I'm saying? Because basketball is still a results-based thing. This is not like business or whatever. I could get a job and go work in the corporate world. I still got to put in the work. And then when he said no, this was them because they seen you working out in the gym and they wanted to give you a shot. And I was like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? So I took it and it was fun. But a lot of people thought, it was like a nepotism thing. The coaching staff really didn't, mess with me. So like that first experience of NBA Summer League, I just spent it doing what normal NBA players do. And to be perfectly honest, I went to college in Las Vegas. At that when I went to college in Las Vegas, so I met up with some old friends, some old flames and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it was back, man. Listen, when I tell you I enjoyed the fruits of the labor, like I made it to the league with that and that during that summer league, I did. Once the coaches didn't care, I was just like, all right, this is what it is. I go to practice and I do my thing and go to the games. And if I played in the game, I played. If not, I wasn't tripping about it and stuff. I was, it is what it is. But the Lakers, the tryout with the Lakers, it was more fun. They asked me, one of the Lakers brass asked me to try out. So I did. It was cool. It was cool to see team players like Mustafa Shakur, who I, saw, as a kid, well, not as a kid, but just growing up in the high school rinks, just him just hooping and stuff. So it was actually cool to see him up close. Adam Morrison, I got to see Adam Morrison up close. He still had the highest skill level. Allen Anderson, him and Adam Morrison was going at it. They almost got into a fight in the summer league practices and stuff. It was cool. So like the Lakers, it was more respect for the Lakers than the Sacramento Kings. Even though like I got cut by the Lakers, and it was everything was all respectful. So I was happy with that.
Now you brought up nepotism, man, and I know we're gonna talk media stuff later, but it brings me to, I used to work at ESPN, and during my time there, I worked on Mike and Mike for about 7 months. Shout out to my producer Seth Horowitz, and I saw Mike Golick. I saw his work ethic. I had an opportunity to have a couple conversations with him. Like he's not going to remember me, but I had a couple conversations with him. And one time he was off, I think, or maybe Junior had came in, and now we know Junior is on TV, and a lot of people thought, well, it's nepotism, but. And I remember like Junior was good. Like what you see on TV, shout out to Shanae Ogumake, who's one of my favorite analysts and basketball minds. But I wonder, why is it that we as Black folks don't want to accept nepotism? And I understand that, and I'm asking you because like you said, you wanted to earn it. If you know what you knew now, and let's just say it was the other way around where your brother did get that opportunity, knowing what you know now, would you have accepted it?
Easily. Easily. Like if knowing what I know now, I would have had a couple years in the NBA.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I would have worked it. You know what I mean? So like that's a great question you asked about Black people and nepotism, man. I think that we take that term, get it out the mud, too personal, and I feel like that, other races, they don't do that. It's handed to them. They do it. They build it up for their kids and stuff, for their brothers. And, they want everything all in the family and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I think that we need to adopt that type of mindset too, because we too scattered around anyway. You know what I mean? Like even how we came to America, we all over the place. You know what I'm saying? We don't have no type of sense of community in the Black community. We're trying though. We're working at it. But, it could be a little bit better. But yeah, like now, I wish that I would have took all that nepotism that came to me back in them days. I'll tell you that right now.
Are you planning a huge celebration and perhaps you need some balloons to make your event look nice? Well, I have the perfect place for you, and that's Symphony of Balloons. Symphony of Balloons will do all events, including baby showers, weddings, birthday parties, or that special anniversary. Contact them today at 410-802-1531 or email them at symphonyofballoons@gmail.com and tell them Brian H. Waters sent you. One of my favorite pictures that you posted was the picture with you and, as you call it, the Larry O'Bean. Can you talk about that night when your brother won his first championship and what that meant to you? Obviously, y'all being close, you were there. What was it like? You take people, back to that night?
Yeah, so it was crazy because that was my first Lakers game, that I went to that year. And because I was working in Indianapolis, and so just doing the normal work and stuff. And as the playoffs is getting further and further, I'm like, hold on, they can actually go to the finals, man. Hold on, let me get some time off for the job just in case, you know what I mean? So when the NBA finals came, I was still working and watching the games and talking to Ron at the end of the games. And you know what I mean? Then I asked my boss once game 6 hit, I was like, yeah, if they win this, can I go to game 7? He was like, no. I was like, okay, I'm going anyway. He was like, well, you gonna lose your job if you go. I'm like, okay, I'll find another one. You know what I mean? I was working in a warehouse back then. So I was like, warehouses come a dime and a dozen when it comes to those type of jobs. And I was like, I'll be good, whatever, it's nothing. So I get to game 7, I get out there, and then like the fans, they see me, and, they know me from Twitter, because back then, that was my old Twitter page when I had like 26,000 followers. So I was, I was pretty known, and like they see me and they just like mobbed me. And I was just like, I feel like I was hyped playing the game. I get my ticket, I go in, the atmosphere was different. And like, it was just crazy. Like all the stars was there, like everybody, it was crazy. Right. So the game started. I'm watching the game like this the entire time, man, with my hands over my face. I'm watching the game like that because it was just like, if you remember the game, it was a lot of missed shots. Then the Lakers go down 13 points. But at the same time, I'm checking my phone, looking at the stats on my phone. And I'm like, oh, man. All right, the Lakers are just out-rebounding them by an astronomical number. Okay, cool. All the Lakers got to do is keep doing what they got to do. And they kept scoring off offensive rebounds. And then they started locking down on the Celtics on defense. And then it was a winnable game. So then when Ron hit the shot, man, I lost it. Right. So I get out my seat. I go to the Celtics bench. I see Ray Allen's moms and gave her like the slit throat, like it's over, kiss of death and everything to Ray Allen's mother, yo, for no reason at all, bro. And then like when the championship came, like I was right there, man. Like when the sound go off and the horn go off, I'm right there on the floor, and I'm just waiting outside of the tape, and I'm just on the floor. I'm just looking like, yo, this is crazy. Like I'm realizing like this is like a real dream. Then me and Ron, we seen each other. And he moved everybody out the way he can, gave me a hug and stuff like that. We embraced, me crying and stuff, man. And it was just an amazing feeling. And then, I was there also when he gave his infamous speech at the press conference. I was actually behind him. So I'm the champagne. Let me actually, before I get there, like the champagne in the locker room was crazy. You know what I'm saying? I was tipsy off the mist. That's how much champagne they was popping in there. It was crazy, man. Then they forgot about the trophy, right? I had the trophy like all that time and stuff. I'm like, yo, I'm trying to get into this locker room. The players are celebrating. Yo, I got the trophy. So normally they don't let, when the players are celebrating, they don't let family or anybody in. But I was in there because I had the trophy. And I wasn't letting the trophy go. I'm like, yo, what this trophy, man? Listen, I got to go up in there. You know what I'm saying? So I gave him the trophy, and we just went crazy that night, man. It was just like crazy. And another thing too, normally when you leave an NBA game and you're a player, you taking your car and you going out the ramp, out the dock, or whatever. This dude, Ron, we all left, and my family, we all left with the fans. We walked out of the stadium, out of Staples Center, taking the steps out the seats, and we walked out of the front of the Staples Center. That was crazy, man. It was just a surreal moment. Then we went to go eat dinner, and I gave a speech. It was like really emotional and stuff like that. Just like, it was just a surreal moment, like something like, as a fan of basketball, we'd be happy when our teams win a championship, but to experience on that side, there was like, besides my kids being born, that was one of the greatest nights of my entire life right there.
See, and man, you gave me chills. So there's actually a video on Facebook the night they won, because, like I told you, I'm a diehard Laker fan. So there's a reaction video, and this is at a time when before social media videos are the way that they are. And like, it's on my old computer, my webcam looked busted. I got like a little microphone, and every time on that particular day, I don't know, I forgot, it's my boy Carlos' birthday, because that was his
baby.
Yeah, and that was his 30th birthday. And he always talked about, like, for him, there'll be never a greater one for them to win it that night. But there's like a reaction video. And now you've given me a whole, like, that insider information. Ron has talked about the dream of y'all two playing together. Did y'all ever have that discussion growing up, or was you surprised when you saw it in a quote?
Yeah, I was surprised. I remember he said that to a Newsday reporter when they did a big article on me, and he said that I was surprised. And then I actually worked my butt off to try to make it happen. And then he ended up going to China, and for some reason, I ended up playing in China too. But we didn't play. We didn't play on the same team. We was on different teams. But you know what I mean? I was still out there when he was out there, so that was actually pretty fun. Man. I wish it would have happened. It only happened like on a street ball level and stuff like that. But you know, on a professional level, it would have maybe it still can. You know what I mean? Like I've decided recently I'm gonna start working out again, getting myself back in shape for my 40th birthday, and I want to play professional basketball. I want to be a professional basketball player one more time for my 40th birthday. So
Would you play for play in the big three?
Yeah, if I get in enough condition for it, yeah, I can play pretty. You put me anywhere, I play. There's no problem.
Yeah. Have you ever been to one of their games?
Nah, I don't watch basketball like that. Like sometimes, like even when I podcast, I don't watch like a lot of basketball like that. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean, it was cool from what I've seen, though, but I didn't really watch it as much as I should have.
So they remember, I told you about NABJ.
Yes.
NABJ Sports has like a deal because last year in Miami, well, now 2 years ago in Miami, they came down. Ice Cube and his business partner. So shout out to Ashley Baker. Her and I, we got a chance to meet his business partner. They gave everybody in NABJ Sports tickets and credentials. So that was a game where like Nate Robinson hit the game-winning shot. It was in Miami. It was amazing. I posted on my Twitter feed, and like that was my first time. That was the first time my wife, she went with me, and she went to the game as well. And it was real cool, and I was just wondering, like, would you see yourself, doing that?
Or media credential? Oh man, please.
No, well, the big three, but that's the thing with NABJ. Like I said, you're in this media world. As much as sometimes I know you, and we'll get into that later, but you're a part of us, bro. But that's an opportunity down the line. Now, before we get into that, I wanted to talk about your career in China. Like, what was it like going over there, learning the language, or did you have a translator? It's a whole different lifestyle. We're not talking a different state. We're talking a different country. So what was that like?
Well, first, the flight was crazy long. It was a straight through flight for 17 hours. So that was different, and then I only slept like a little bit over half of the flight. So I was up for a little minute on there, and I was just freaking out because I'm like, are we really over this Pacific Ocean and the Bering Sea? And I'm like, oh my God, like when something happened, I was like, oh man, it was crazy. But when we got there, so we was there on a tour for like 6 weeks with Tracy McGrady. And so it was more of a celebrity type of feel, like you actually in the NBA, like the fans was there. I guess they must have been knew when I was coming because I had like a crazy ovation everywhere I went. You know what I'm saying? So that was actually pretty cool, and it was amazing from the people, you know what I mean, from the food, you know what I mean? They had some weird food out there, all the myths of Chinese food out there with the whole dogs and stuff like that. All of that's true, by the way. I didn't know. I seen it myself, and I said, "What?" One of my team was like, "Yeah, man, I got to try this, man," and he did it. And I said, "Dog, like you tripping?" But but the thing about China that shocked me the most was when we went to North China, like basically like near like Mongolia or something like that. They had dark Chinese people. That right there just blew my mind. And I was just like, "What? They got Chinese people with like nappy hair. They got a guy with an afro like you. You know what I'm saying?" And that bugged me out. And and also like the communism out there in China, just how it is really state controlled. That's a really state controlled place. Like you go and you look at the TV, they got CCTV 1, CCTV 2, CCTV 3, all the way up, whatever, where we got, ABC, CBS, a lot of individuality in our cable channel network. And I was talking to the people. A lot of them speak some good English, actually. There's a lot of Americans out there too, as well, for education. So a lot of them was really, they was against, the communism, how it is. They was like, man, you got a lot of freedom in America. Because at first I was like, America is this, America is that, man. You don't want to go there. And then they was telling me about their experience, being in China. And I'm like, wow, like it's funny because it makes you appreciate this country even more, even though this country's all messed up and stuff. At least you still have your freedoms, quote. So China was definitely a different experience. As far as on the court, it was really physical. It was fun. I got to play against some really good players like Al Harrington. Not Stephon Marbury, but I got to play against like Gary Irvin, Ike Diago, Bobby Brown, a lot of good basketball players and stuff like that. So it was fun. Charles Gaines had he's a player. I forgot where he's from, but all I know is I had to guard him after he scored 60 points and had 28 rebounds the game before he played against me. And like I got on the court and I kind of like held him down to like 4 points when I was guarding him. You know what I mean? So that was fun. And Trace McGrady nicknamed me Locks because I always had to guard the other American big men. And I was shutting them down and stuff like that. So they called me Locks. They gave me that nickname Locks. I throw the locked up sign. So that was pretty cool. And but China was dope. I think the league could be better if they actually let Chinese players go play in Europe. You know what I mean? They need a better developmental system. They just let the good Chinese players go play overseas. Because if you ever notice, you ever go look at these European games, there's no Chinese players on the rosters. All their players play in that league against each other. So there's no real development there. Hopefully, China open up the doors. They seem like they are because they got Stephon Marbury as a head coach. He's the only foreign head coach in Chinese basketball history because all the foreign coaches that go over there and coach are all assistant coaches. So then Stephon Marbury is a head coach there. So it was like I said, it was a dope experience, and I would do it again. They overpaid, and that was fun. So yeah, it was dope.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Yeah, like you brought up, an opportunity for them to go to Europe. Why Europe is like, and why that country?
You think about it. All right. So since the inception, I could have said the NBA, yeah, but since the inception of the NBA, only a little bit under 4,800 people played in the NBA in its entire 75-year existence. So that's that number is like that's like one of the lotto going to the league. But there's millions of other players that's playing all over the world. You know what I mean? Europe is home of the top top leagues in the world, along with Australia too. So just get these players this other experience playing against other players, getting coached by other coaches and stuff, and just experiencing, the life. And I think that is more out there for Chinese people to play basketball and stuff, But, I guess there's not a lot of good basketball players in China, or, not a lot of good Chinese-born basketball players that are playing in that China league. So they don't want all the good players to just leave because then where's the other players at? They just got to do a better job with player development out there.
Okay. So now you transition. We have the Daniel Artest Podcast. What led you to get into podcasting?
Because to be quite honest with you, I used to watch the First Takes and the Shannons and Skips and stuff like that. And I just kind of like, like the other TV show, like The Herd. Shout outs to Joy Taylor, you know what I'm saying? But no shade at the same time. A lot of these shows focus on the stuff outside of the game instead of what's going on in the game. So I feel like I don't learn nothing. And all these crazy hot takes on basketball that's just ruining the game. Now everybody has a hot take. And I understand you can have a hot take sometimes. Sometimes I even have a hot take and stuff or whatever. But it's just I feel like I'm not learning nothing at the end of the day. So I just decided to just create a show where I can, teach, people the game of basketball by sharing my experiences.
Okay. Yeah. And that's one of the things that for me, I understand that a lot of those people with the hot takes, like your Stephen A's, your Skip Bayless, I start with them. They were, journalists. Like Stephen A, was a crime reporter. Skip Bayless covered the Bulls. I was a little disappointed that he wasn't on The Last Dance because he was there. But I understand they understand the art of covering a team. I think for me, the stuff that gets annoying is, like you said, the hot takes. Like, what happened to just talking about the game? Like, if you ever noticed, the reason why I always like coming on your show, because it's not so much we got a debate. Like, I don't have to say my point to listen to your point so I can counter that. It's literally a conversation about basketball. And I mentioned this before. I would go on the Daniel Artest Podcast on YouTube. For those who not familiar, go on YouTube, you can find it. And after the game, I would sit there with my TV. All right, cool, game over. Let me turn to YouTube and hear y'all talking. Next thing you know, yo, come on the show. I'm like,
one show.
Snap. All right, cool. You know, and then sometimes I couldn't come on, but I would just listen and watch it because that was the beauty about growing up. The next day in school, you watch your game, you watch your team, you go to school, talk about it. And to me, that's what that gave me. That feel like I get a chance to talk about it. What's been some of your wins you feel like as being a podcaster?
My wins.
Mm-hmm.
My wins is just being consistent, to be honest with you, because what they say, 90% of people don't get past 5 shows or something like that. So I guess being consistent is one of the wins. Also knowing that my show is growing, has been, over 13 or almost 14,000 downloaded. And my live streams, I have almost 450,000 live viewers, in 8 months. So I know that it's growing. Being able to even book Jamel Hill on the show was awesome. You know what I'm saying? So I know that I'm making some type of progress. So I know that it's a win for me. I know a lot of people, shows vary. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm just proud of how serious I take the shows and stuff. And yeah, everybody was invited to come on the live shows after we was doing the post game stuff because, everybody has an opinion and everybody wants to say their opinion without being, getting a debate. It didn't have to be a debate. That's why I created that post game show, because I wanted it like that. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to, talk to my favorite podcasters. Like, so if you was ever on my show, I listen to your work and I like what you say. And, I mean, that matters to me, so I haven't done a live post game show in a while because Clubhouse kind of took over everything for me and stuff, like, just trying to up the show visually for season 2, up the audio and everything like that. So I haven't done no live shows, but now that you brought it up, I'm gonna get back into it now and stuff. So just be on the lookout for the future. And if you want to come talk basketball, listen, you got one shot with me. You know what I'm saying? Once you mess up, I ain't inviting you back on and stuff like that. Your takes is crazy, but you could definitely come on. So
Yeah. What? Yeah. You brought up Clubhouse. How has that platform been helpful to you?
Clubhouse has been helpful for me because now it wants me to create another podcast. So, I got the Daniel Artest Podcast. I got another podcast that I do called X versus X Sports, where I interview athletes, on that app. And now I'm creating a third podcast that has nothing to do with sports, just talking about random stuff, because there's a bunch of people with podcasts on Clubhouse. And then when I was introducing myself on their platforms and stuff, they was sending me information because they got a podcast. Now they want to do a show, but I'm not doing a show that's like, not basketball on a basketball podcast. I know I've done it before, but I really stopped doing it, so now I'm going to create a whole new different show where we can talk about all of that stuff. Maybe other non-basketball things that's on my mind. I want to talk about, like, what's going on with this country right now and everything like that. So, Clubhouse has helped me. It's going to help me be more versatile, broaden my horizons with podcasts and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's really cool, man. Like I said, I know this ain't easy. I've been doing podcasting and shows for 11 years, the wrestling realm being 10 years old in the brand within itself, and making sure, separating the content. I've seen a lot of people, and people say, hey man, I want to start a podcast. I said, all right, cool. So what do you want to do? And people say, I want people to listen to me. I said, well, first off, figure out, do it because you enjoy it. Some people don't, they just see they think it's a quick money grab, and I'm like, do it because you enjoy it and then move on. And it helps. One of the shows that I really enjoyed, you had Al Horford's sister, forgive me, her name escapes me at this moment.
Anna Horford.
Anna Horford. And y'all talked about being siblings of NBA players. What was it? How does podcasting help you connect with people like yourself and people like Anna, other siblings and of these NBA players?
I just reached out to them and I just realized that we all share the same type of story and stuff like that. You know what I mean? From the social media thing, like if your brother having a bad game, then they just gonna vent to you about it or whatever. You know what I mean? The threats and everything. And Anna, what I like about Anna, she remind me of myself because she answers everybody head on. And she don't take no mess. So you talk to her one way, she gonna talk to you right back. So when we did the show, if obviously we meshed, we had a connection on the show because of our type of parallel thing. But I reach out to more NBA players, siblings and everything. I reached out to Ben Simmons' sister. We're gonna do a show in the next couple of weeks and everything. I reached out to, actually, I met Westbrook's brother on Clubhouse actually, and hoping to get him on a podcast too as well, because we had a really nice conversation about just being the brothers and trying to navigate this world, but on our own merits instead of the names and everything. So that's the fun part about talking to the siblings and stuff like that. I also have Al Harrington's brother coming on the show too, and we're going to talk about it. He's been on my show before, but we didn't talk about what we're going to talk about now with this new little mini series I'm gonna have.
Yeah. Now, how hard is it? You brought up being on social media, and people who try to come with that smoke. We seen a few years ago on Christmas, somebody was willing to drive to fight somebody because of their takes on Kobe, and that person, I don't know, maybe they did, maybe they didn't, never met Kobe Bryant in their life, but somebody you shared a house with, you share a last name with, somebody that's your blood. How hard is it you not to want to not clap back in those type of situations?
I'm always there for the clap back, man. It's fun. I'm saying? A lot of people take it really serious.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to this fan stuff, like now, once it gets to like disrespectful, when you threaten somebody, life and stuff like that in the DM, that's when it gets kind of like weird. Yeah. But for the most part, like the clapping back stuff is fun and stuff. And it's funny because I actually ran down on some of those people in Staples Center one day. They were like, man, this is my they come up to me, right? This is what I do. I always do my little fact checks. So what it is like, because a lot of them be in the DMs talking crazy. So this is what's your name? I'm like, this is such and such from Twitter and stuff like that. I was like, hold on, let me see your name. And then I Google the name and like not Google the name, but do the Twitter
search, yeah,
with their name and my name and read it. All right, you cool. You ain't say nothing crazy. But one of them did, and I ran them down in the Staples Center. So what I did was I had a family pass. So when you get the family pass, you can invite, people down there with you and stuff like that. So I was like, oh yeah, let's go to the family room and stuff. Took them a different way where there's no cameras or nothing. That I had to give them a nice little tune-up inside of the Staples Center and stuff like that. Then, we went back to the game. He was a good sport, man. He took the ass whooping, but he didn't tell nobody.
Dang.
Had to tune him up real quick, man. Like, yo, you don't talk like that or all that crazy stuff like that. Then you think I ain't gonna remember or whatever. Like, yeah, he took it though.
Wow, that's hilarious. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say nothing like that. Certainly not here or Breaking Through Glass Ceilings. I want to take a quick minute to talk about mental health. As you all know, we are living in unprecedented times, whether it's the racial pandemic or the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, I want to introduce you to Hope Again Counseling Services, where transformation begins. Hope Again provides help for children, adolescents, adults, family, and couples. So give them a call at 410-698-8442 or visit them on the web at yourhopeagain.com to book your appointment. If you are willing to believe, you will begin to achieve, and ultimately, Hope Again Counseling Services can help you receive all that is meant for you. So what do you think it would have been like? So like every year, the Malice and the Palace, that comes up.
Oh yeah.
Do you stay off Twitter on that day, or do you? Because
I don't stay off Twitter. I just ignore it.
Because
I talk about it.
I know I'm biased. Like I said, I ain't just saying this. Like anybody who knows me knows that, your brother is like one of my top 10 favorite basketball players. Like, as we say in wrestling, mark out. So one time he followed me, and it was because I was watching like his documentary, and I was like, oh shoot, like Metta World Peace followed me. And always looked at it like if somebody land on the table minding their business and then you throw something at them, what else, what would you do? You know, and I've heard like Steven Jackson talk about it, and you know, but like how do you deal with like, do you like, you know, because like I say, it comes up every year.
Yeah, so like I never really talk about it, but I'll talk about it like with you because you're my guy. You know what I mean? But
I appreciate
like
that.
when the Malice on like this past anniversary of the Malice of the Palace, I didn't talk about it. I just did a podcast with Anna Horford. That's all I did. That was that day. I didn't talk about it. I brought it up a little bit and stuff like that because she went through her thing. You know what I'm saying, with the Celtics fans. So I kind of brought it up, and then we talked about, you know what I mean, like from our review when people would be like that. But my views on the Malice of the Palace is that it had to happen. Like, I get it. These players make a lot of money and this, that, and the other, but they're still human, okay? Anybody, come on, you throw a drink in anybody's face, whether they're laying down and stuff, you deserve to get whatever happened to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, my brother, he's a stronger man than me. You know what I mean? Him and the guy, John Green, they're cool now and stuff. You know what I mean? They call each other and they talk to each other and stuff from what you seen in the documentary. But I couldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even want to see John Green. I don't know what I would do to him. You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta understand something. Like my brother and I, like we have this bond and stuff, right? You know, like my basketball, street ball nickname in Rucker Park is called the Guardian because I had to put hands on my teammates when I was playing basketball against Ron in the same game for doing a dirty basketball play on Ron. So I had to put hands on him, and then that's how my name, the Guardian, came about. You know what I'm saying? So like when it comes to like, am I my brother's keeper? Like, you know what I mean? I lived that to the core. So not being there during the Malice and stuff and just seeing it on TV when the guy was punching him, like I feel like the John Green guy, you know what I mean? He still got some questions it needs to be answered. You know what I'm saying? Like he needs to be tuned up still. You know, that's how I feel about it. You know, I'm always going to feel about that. It's like, what, 16 years ago? And everybody
Has
moved
it
on.
been 16 years?
Yeah, it's been 16 years,
Wow.
2004. But I didn't move on from it because it was just really foul. You don't do something like that. You know what I'm saying? You don't punch no man or anybody from behind like that, like a coward. You know what I mean? So I'm always going to be like salty about that when it comes to the Malice situation and stuff. And you know, rest in peace to David Stern. I had a lot of issues with that too, like because you made Ron an example and stuff like that. And then Ron was actually the year before. Now, if this happened in 2003 or 2002 for that matter, I would understand because Ron was getting all those suspensions and flagrant fouls. Mm-hmm. But Ron actually was turning a leaf, you know what I'm saying, doing whatever he had to do. And him sitting on that table was a coping mechanism to get away from all that nonsense and stuff. You know what I mean? So when it happened, you know, that was the right human reaction. People thought that Ron was still the same. And I'm like, Ron changed his attitude that whole time. You know, he was more calm and stuff. He wasn't on edge a lot like he was back then. Because mind you, I was there. I was training with him the whole goddamn summer because I still was playing college basketball myself. So for people to just have this misconception of my brother, that bothers me. You know what I mean? They say he's crazy and this, that, and the other. Like, that really bothers me because that's not even true. You know, like when people try to, you know, make fun of his name and stuff, like I always had an issue with it. That's why I didn't like people like John Barry when he, you know, called them Metta Weird Piece and stuff. I'm like, yo, first of all, not being disrespectful with this whole calling my brother crazy thing. You know what I mean? Like the crazy Artest, this, that, and the other. You know, you disrespected my mother, you disrespected my father, everybody that has the last name Artest. And we're a good family. You know what I'm saying? We come from Queensbridge projects or whatever. We grew up in the welfare system and stuff like that. And, you know, Ron made something out of himself. And then like, it's always like, I'm going to be real with you, man. And I don't like when there's white people on the social media or on TV and they characterize this man as, you know, they say crazy and stuff like that. Like, who are you to call somebody crazy because somebody doesn't conform to the stuff that you want, that you think is right? Even with the situation with Kyrie Irving right now, he's going through that. You know what I'm saying? And it really frustrates me that when something goes wrong, oh, he's mentally unstable. Maybe in your suburban life, that's what it is with your little Tommy and Johnny and them like that. But with us, it's different. Nobody's crazy, just how things are. I say it right now, you throw something in my face, I'm kicking your ass. Simple as that. And that's how everybody reaction should be. You don't throw nothing in nobody's face. It was beer that hit Ron or whatever. Somebody could have peed in a cup of urine, or we could have been urine in a cup or something like that. But yet he got to maintain some type of, maturity issue or whatever because he's a millionaire. Come on, man. Yes, come on, please. What happened when Will Smith, when the guy tried to kiss Will Smith on the mouth on that video that's on YouTube, he smacked the shit out of him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the proper reaction, I'm sorry.
So nobody never thought to blame the coach for keeping the starters in the whole game. It was a blowout.
And I'm glad. See, I've never talked about this, so this is all my opinion. This is all how I feel. I don't talk about this. Is my first time talking about this. Yeah. I feel like this. Sometimes I blame Larry Bird. Let me tell you why. I blame Larry Bird because of this. He fired Isaiah Thomas. If Isaiah Thomas was still the coach of that team, that brawl would have never happened. Isaiah Thomas had that team, had that Pacers team. It was locked. But no disrespect to Rick Carlisle, really good coach. But he didn't have the same type of, feeling with that team.
He was a new coach too at the time.
He's a great coach. He's a great coach.
But like newer as coaching, like he was still green in that space, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And as Isaiah Thomas, he know how to talk to certain players. You know what I'm saying? He know how to get to the players, because he was a player himself. Rick Carlisle was a player himself too as well. But that race matters, man. You know what I'm saying? When you have a black coach that can relate to players like that, because Ron wasn't really having no outbursts with Isaiah Thomas like that. You know what I'm saying? Like Steven Jackson wasn't. It was all good. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It was like a little family atmosphere thing like that. I always felt like if Isaiah Thomas was still on that team, not only the bro would have never happened, they would have won the championship. And that's just my honest opinion. When I say that, I don't speak for my brother. This is Daniel speaking for Daniel on that.
Yeah.
So whatever backlash I get from this podcast, I'm willing to take it.
That would have been interesting. I think the thing is, the thing I love about this is, man, because the way you are about your brother, I am about my sister. And difference is that I'm older, but either way, because I'm pretty sure just listening to you talk and reading what I read, the articles, only time I talked to your brother was like a DM after he was on Kelsey's show. Okay. And that's when I found you, when you was on Kelsey's show. And, the thing is, I can tell like that love and passion for each other, because you're supposed to be your brother's keeper. There's so many stories, like Aaron Rodgers is playing this weekend and you'll hear people talk about, him and his family don't get along, and the thing I appreciate is like lifting as you climb. And that's one of the things you've been able to do with the Daniel Artest Podcast Network is lifting as you climb, right? You've given people opportunities. Shout out to our boy Brian A. Lyne. He was on my wrestling show, and that doesn't happen without you coming on board, and it's funny. I was like, I met Brian through Daniel, but Daniel don't watch wrestling. I said, we're going to get him on Breaking Through Glass Ceilings. One of the things for me, podcasting has been, I want to ask you, for me, it's therapeutic. Have you felt that way, that it's very therapeutic?
Oh man, you're about to see. I was hoping you didn't get to that question, man. So
come on, man, I'm a pro at this.
We're about to go deep right here in this one. You know what I mean? Like, and before I get into that one, I like that lift as you climb thing that you said. You know what I mean? I try to give people opportunities. So like I got my guy Zach from the Off the Glass podcast, and when I interview NBA players and stuff, I always ask them first, hey, you want to come on and be a co-guest with me? You know what I'm saying? You're a co-host with me this show. When I got this NBA player, I got an interview with Andre Miller coming out, a 2-part interview actually with Andre Miller coming that I just got to edit it. But, Zach was on the first part with me. I always try to do that, especially, for my black people, man. You know what I'm saying? And everybody think that this whole podcasting thing is a competition, and it's not, man. Nobody's making money off podcasting like that, man, unless you Joe Rogan or something like that, or Bill Simmons, which we all attain to. So, and that's another reason why I created the 265 Media, because like all my favorite podcasts, this is how I feel. And I even feel like this with you, man. I feel like everybody that I do a podcast with that I like, everybody should be on 265 Media. We could build it all up together, man. And then just, we sell it for $1 billion, because I listen to all the podcasts as many podcasts as I can, right? Even other people podcasts. And I'm looking at the content. I'm like, these dudes is loaded. You know what I'm saying? But they are not as good as the people that I listen to. And I'm not even saying that because I know y'all. and stuff like that. Because there's people that I know, I don't get on their show. They ask me all the time, I don't get on their show, you know? So I'm like, why not just all of us just come up together, man? Like everybody go own the same equal stake. You know what I mean? So if we make $1 billion and it's 10 of us, everybody get $100 million. Just because I created the name don't mean nothing. That's how I honestly feel, man. It's time. It's time for us to really just grow something together. Nobody does that. Everybody want to chase the bag and everybody's chasing their own separate bags and things like that. I'm like, why we just can't put our collective minds together and grow and do it like that? That's why, like, when I have Zach on, Zach, he thinks he's smarter than me when it comes to asking the interview questions, analyzing the game of basketball. I know that. I know my limits as a podcaster. You know, I go off the field of the game, so I can ask questions like that. I can't ask the questions that Zach can ask. That's why I wanted him on the show, and that's what makes the content even better, because now, like, those questions is coming, and they're like, oh, man, Andre Miller was impressed with Zach. You know what I'm saying? So, even with Clubhouse, I do the no takes thing. Sylvia Crawley was on the show, the basketball legend Sylvia Crawley, North Carolina, ABL. And, her and Zach connected on the show because of that. So it's always about connecting and pulling people up. Now, back to that question that I didn't want to answer, was podcasting therapeutic? Yeah, bro. All right. So 2016, 2017, and 2018. And even 2019, I tried to kill myself 4 different times, bro. To be 100% honest, man, I tried to commit suicide. You know what I mean? In New York, try to jump over the George Washington Bridge. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been dealing with so much over these past years, man. Missing my kids. I got one of my sons with me here in Charleston, South Carolina, and then I got 3 others. My kids, they live in Indiana and in Nashville, Tennessee, and it's hard to see them and stuff. You know what I mean? Because of just certain situations that's going on with the co-parenting and everything like that. And it drove me, man, to almost hurting myself. So I podcast to keep my mind off of it, to be honest, because I don't go to therapy. So I podcast to keep my mind off hurting myself all the time, bro. Like, even like with life and, with this COVID situation, I haven't worked the entire COVID. You know what I'm saying? So it's going on a whole year. I haven't worked, man. The only reason why I've been surviving was because of donations, from Patreon, from people that support my show, from when I sell my t-shirts and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That's what's been really keeping me going, to be 100% honest. You know what I'm saying? And, podcasting has given me, a second wind, and it's something that I want to do. And, it's just been helping a lot, bro. And, that's like the first reason why I podcast and stuff. And that's that.
Yeah. So were you self-taught as far as audio? Because, like, I listen to your show and it sounds good. I'm one of the people that, if I'm not to sound arrogant, right? But if I'm gonna take my time and listen and watch, I know everybody didn't go to school for production, but take your brand seriously. You know what I mean? Make sure you have, put out the best quality, or ask for help, the best quality you can get. So, and I listened to your show and I'm like, oh, wait, this sounds good the way it's put together. So did you teach yourself how to edit? Did you take a class, or online class, or University of YouTube, or?
I taught myself, bro.
Okay.
Like, I train my own voice to do it. You know what I mean? 'Cause I don't have a pop filter on my microphone.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Even my early shows was all off my iPhone, and I was just talking like this. If you notice, like, you didn't really hear nothing crazy. My early shows, before I started doing, like, the Zooms and stuff like that, you never really hear nothing crazy. I just train my voice, especially when I know I'm going to say the letters P and B, anything that got that pop with it and stuff. That I know how to train myself up to talk like that. And then, like, I know sometimes when it's animated, I step away from the mic. You know what I'm saying? Then when we chilling, I'll get a little bit closer and stuff like that. And, I try to adjust my own levels myself and stuff. So I'm self-made with it. With editing, sometimes I don't even edit the show, especially on Zoom, because it's literally right there. Only time I edit is if, like, somebody's messing up or something like that, or any little accident thing like that. So I have a pad with me and I'll write down the time. If the time is up there on the ticker, I write down the time, and then I'll be like, all right, edit 15 minutes and 11 seconds in or whatever. Or when I'm on Zoom, I actually have, you can't see the time on Zoom. So I actually press the timer on my phone, and then I keep it like that, and then edit, 16 minutes, 13 seconds like that. And then I go there and then I able to chop it out or whatever. Cause I do the time where it needs to be edited, and then the time when we kicking back in. So it was like, stop at 16 minutes and 12 seconds, but we got back at it at 16 minutes and 47 seconds, just cut that little 35-second out, and we ready to go and stuff like that. So I self-taught myself. I taught myself to edit like that. But sometimes on Zoom, it's so easy where I don't edit nothing on Zoom, because it's literally you press record, welcome to the Daniel Artest Podcast, and then you sign off and you do your thing like that. So, that's how I go about the process of, doing this podcast and thing.
Yeah, well, man, keep it up, man. Before we get out of here, I got to ask you this question, and it could be whether it's podcasting or basketball and life. The show is called Breaking Through the Glass Ceiling. When did Daniel Artest break through the glass ceiling? When you realized you was good at what you did, and you realized you was in that space of doing, kind of living your purpose.
Man, I don't feel like I've broken through the glass ceiling yet because of opportunities, man. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I'm good at what I do, but I feel like also that the opportunities when I'm pitching my show to people and I'm just getting ignored. So I feel like the glass is there. I see it. And you see the success on the other side. You know what I mean? But you only see one set of people partying and through that glass ceiling. You know what I mean? They dancing up there, and they got, you see all the money up there. You see all the success up there too as well. But it's hard. And they just looking down at you like, yo, come on up. You know what I mean? Just break it. You know what I'm saying? But it's really hard to break. So I need somebody else, like you said, lift as you climb and stuff like that. And I need some of these white people to really, put me in a situation, you know what I mean, where I can flourish, where we all can flourish and stuff like that. Because think about it, when it comes to this basketball stuff, right? When we're doing these basketball shows, and we are the trendsetters, we are the culture when it comes to this media stuff. When it's Black Twitter, you know what I'm saying, for a reason, we break everything. When we make somebody go viral, we make everybody go viral. So now listen, we need our own thing. That's why I always say, man, like we always I remember before I even met Ashley, and Ashley's always said, yo, we need more Black people in the sports media. I used to tweet it out all the time. Yo, we need more Black people in the sports, in the NBA media content creation realm and stuff like that, because we set everything. You know what I'm saying? Like we get the dollars going. You know what I'm saying? But we don't run it. You know what I'm saying? Somebody else runs NBA Twitter, but we set the viral moments and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But somebody else runs it. And that's what we need to stop. Until then, that's why I say, like, for me personally, like that glass ceiling hasn't been broken. But okay, as far as podcasting, I can say I broke through the glass when we did the election night show. That was the biggest show I ever did. And we wasn't like really talking about the election crazy like that. We were just giving our experiences on why is it important to vote and stuff. You came on, you know what I mean, to give your insight. I had Prince Dykes come on to give the financial aspect of voting in the election and stuff and what it does. And, so that was cool. And, we had 42,000 people tune in on that show that night. That was the biggest show ever. You was a part of that, man. You was part of the reason why, because think about it, you came on the show when it was 28,000 and it went up to 42 at the end. You know what I'm saying? So
I tell people this too, man. You'd be surprised who's listening. I'm going to give a shout out to this guy, Aaron Pepper. I used to work with at Best Buy. And one day he DM'd me and he was like, hey, Brian, I've been listening to your show. And he never tweeted about it on his timeline. It's not like we text, but when I worked, we used to do this thing called ABC News 1. And the way that would work is we come to work from, you either did 2 to 11 or 5 to 2, and you was working in the basement, and you took the highlights off the server, sent them to ABC News, and they could send to the local stations. So let's just say you in Charleston, South Carolina, they didn't send nobody to the let's just say the Panthers game, but they needed the footage. So they would call the ABC affiliate, the ABC headquarters.
Yeah.
So Aaron and I worked together. And when he sent me that, man, it made me feel good. And it's like, you just never know who's listening, who's watching, So I always encourage people, keep doing it. For you, keep podcasting, man. You've brought a community of people together, and I only think you see it, but you might not see it that you've brought so many people together. People going, obviously, they're like, well, it's Daniel Artest, is that Ron's brother? And then they're going to tune in and they were like, wait, okay, well, I like what he got to say, especially because as much as like ESPN and they're getting all those ratings for those hot takes, there's a huge audience out there that's looking for people that just want to talk basketball, who want to talk the game. We see that on Clubhouse, like you said, when you open up the room and just basketball, no hot takes, and you see that, so I just want to keep encouraging you, bro, and I definitely appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, thank you for having me on, for real. It was really dope to just talk about certain things and stuff that, like, even with my past and stuff, just I've been holding in and stuff like that. So I know a lot of people are going to be surprised when podcasts come out. But yeah, man, listen, I'm flawed just like every other human. I have my issues. I may hide it well and stuff, but I'm just happy to be able to come on your platform and talk, and you asking the right questions, and you chipping at the old iceberg and chopping it down and stuff like that. I've learned a lot, today just by just watching you, how you interviewing me, and how I want to add that to my game and stuff like that. Just like with basketball, like how I got a little bit of Hakeem Olajuwon or a little bit of LeBron and stuff like that, a little bit of Zion, and what I mean? So I just like to add into my game and stuff, what I mean? So thank you for having me on, for real. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it'd be dope. Once you get back to playing, you do a podcast right after your game, right from the locker room. That's something we don't get that. We get the media interviews, but you imagine how dope that would be. I'm pretty sure the NBA got restrictions, so you probably don't get a JJ Redick interviewing somebody after the game, but that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm working on getting a media credential and stuff. You know what I mean? Before I'm working hard at it before I push the Bush button and ask Ron to just ask for one for me.
Hey, look, man,
I need 10 of them, so all of us could be on the post game Zoom and ask these questions to these NBA players. There's not the same cookie cutter questions, but the questions that they're gonna want to answer and stuff, man.
That's key. It's key for us to get in there because of that. Like, people will want to say, okay, what, they because at the end of the day, the reason why there's this big, I don't want to say beef, but a distrust with the media is because writers like to spin the narratives. You go back to when Sean Taylor died and Michael Wilborn created this narrative that Sean Taylor was out gangbanging, and then they came to haunt him, not listening, and it was somebody who he had employed using his black power and to employ somebody, and they did him dirty. And that's the issue when you have these narratives and these people creating these narratives. That's the thing that people don't like. I was never great at basketball, but I like talking about the game. I like, okay, well, let's talk about this. And then I can do an interview with somebody. I'm going to ask them these questions. I don't feel like, well, because I couldn't play, I got to talk bad and talk down about this player. I think somebody said it like, you can't say a basketball player is a bum, because the last player on the ranking list will go in a street game and dominate. They are professionals for a reason. Exactly. The same with football, so I that's the one thing about social media and podcasts. You do have people who feel comfortable to make these egregious statements. But there's people out there like you, like me, who just want to ask those, intelligent questions and relatable questions,
That's all we want to do. And but it's going to be, it's funny because, podcasting, there's a lot of podcasts out there that's blowing up. And you know, these other reporters, they all have communications degrees and stuff like that. So, you know, they ain't trying to let no podcaster in, to be honest. And I understand that. It's like, wait a minute, I went to school for this. You know what I'm saying? Then here you are coming in here like that. You know what I mean? So I totally understand, but we ain't trying to, you know, step on. But I know I'm not trying to step on nobody else's toes and stuff. But I also feel at the same time, like, you know, podcasters need to be answering these questions because social media is there now. And when people go viral, is people with no degrees that go viral for people that on the same genres with people that have degrees on. So I think everybody should have a piece of the pie, a seat at the table or something like that.
This has always been my thing, right? You only listen to an episode once. So it's not like you're going to keep listening to the same episode. Most of us are only going, you know, it depends on you know, 2 or 3 times a week, right? So if somebody can finish my show, you know, after they finish your show and then go to Ashley's show, then go to Kelsey's show, then go to Renee's show. It's enough time in the week to do all of that, you know, so therefore it's no need to tear somebody down, you know, like we said, you know, lift as you climb.
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly. I agree with you on that. And yeah, you're right. There's definitely no reason to tear anybody down, man. And so like I'm not with it. So if it comes near me, I'm not for it, man. I just keep it moving and just, you know, do the show that I want to do.
Let the people know where they can find you. I know I kind of went over my time.
Good. You can follow me at Daniel Artest Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Also, you can follow the podcast network that I've created called 265 Media. You can find that on Instagram and Twitter as well. I also have a Facebook group called 265 Media, where, you know, I mean, we're looking for other podcasts outside of basketball. So 265 Media is not a basketball podcast media network. Looking for everybody. You know what I'm saying? And yeah. That being said, man, thank you for having me on the show, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate you coming on, bro.
Yes, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that interview, that conversation with Daniel Artest. It was definitely one I really enjoyed myself, as Daniel and I have talked more in forums, and it's always been a basketball conversation. But this was the first time we got to have a true one-on-one conversation. Next week, I have another podcaster I'm bringing on, and that is my good friend Nico Sozio. Nico is a former world champion in wrestling. Yes, professional wrestling crosses over from the wrestling realm on to breaking through glass ceilings, and I'm excited to bring Nico on as he will discuss his career, how he got into pro wrestling, and made a transition into podcasting himself. So make sure you tune into that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, season 3. So I'm very excited about this. If you're out there, remember, folks, don't let nobody set up a ceiling that you can't break through. And make sure y'all visit the website, bwatersproductions.com. You can get you a B Waters Productions mug. Support the brand, only $16. This podcast was recorded and edited by B Waters Productions. The music by Hypno Beats. Make sure you follow him at Hypno_Beats with a Z on Instagram.